Hey guys, I'm Pixel Dan, and this is a review of the new Batman Adventures Batman action figure from DC Collectibles. Alright, I'm a little late in jumping into the reviews of these figures, but let me tell you, this animated line of Batman characters from DC Collectibles has been a line that I have been very excited about from its initial launch. And I've picked up all of the figures that have come out so far. I'm just now getting around to the reviews, but that doesn't lower my excitement for them at all. Now, I never actually collected the original animated Batman figures. I watched the Batman animated series, I love those cartoons, but the original action figure line kind of came out at a time where I wasn't really buying a lot of toys. It didn't stop me from enjoying the cartoon though, so I sort of feel like this is my chance to finally dive in and get some awesome action figures based on a cartoon series, or two cartoon series, that I loved dearly. So as you can see, Batman here is the first release, and he comes in this great blister card packaging that features this blue background with silhouettes of Batman, Nightwing, and Robin, as this particular Batman is based on the second incarnation of the animated series, which was titled The New Batman Adventures. And when you flip that around to the backside, you just get that same kind of silhouette image there. So there's no other pictures or anything like that on the back of the card back. So let's go and rip this open and take a look at the action figure inside. So Batman here stands right at 6 inches tall, and it is a very cool sculpt. DC Collectibles did a great job of capturing the very iconic look of Batman as he appeared right in that animated series and bringing him into action figure form. Now, as I said when we were talking about the packaging, this one here is based on his appearance in the new Batman Adventures. So his look is slightly different than the way he appeared in the original animated series, which might be a little bit more iconic, but that version is coming out from DC Collectibles as well. So it's kind of cool that we'll have different options for the different way Batman looked in the various cartoons here. The sculpt, like I said, is very nice, and looking down you can see it really does a good job of capturing that Bruce Timm style animated look into action figure form. Now, Batman, of course, as well as a lot of the characters in this show, were known for having larger upper bodies and a lot smaller, very skinny lower bodies. So I was slightly worried with the proportions on these action figures and their ability to stand up, and it is worth noting that he is a little top heavy. Now, luckily, the figure does include this little figure stand, which is a nice little addition. I like the base quite a bit because it's really got some cool little animated cell-type look to it, showing different angles of Batman right out of the cartoon series. And then it just has this clear stand on the back with a little C-clamp. So Batman can just stand nicely on this. The C-clamp goes around his waist. It's not quite as tight as I'd like it to be. It actually has hinges on it so you can open and close it, but it does a good job of keeping him standing. And actually, there are ways you can balance him without the stand just fine, but you're not going to be able to get a lot of good poses out of him, obviously, without using a figure stand of some sort. Now, while the details are minimal since this is an animated look, I do want to point out some things that I really like on here. Specifically, the bat emblem on his chest looks very nice because it is sculpted. It's a raised detail. It's not just painted on there. I also really like the look of the utility belt with all of the pouches on there individually sculpted. So all of that does look very nice. Same with the boots. The boots are separate sculpted pieces, and they're actually even articulated, which is very cool. And it's nice that they're not just painted on. The paint is pretty clean for the most part, but I do have a few spaces where it's not perfect. Most notably, I think around the trunks there underneath his belt. It's a little uneven. It's not as straight as I'd like it to be, but it's not terrible. I've definitely seen worse on action figures, and overall this guy looks very nice. Alright, so let's go ahead and take a look at the articulation on Batman. The head's on a nice ball joint here, and you can kind of see it underneath that cape there, the way it separates at the head. So it rolls around very nicely. We get a good range of motion left, right. You can even make him look up and down slightly, which is very nice. Functions very well. You do have the ball-like joints up here at the shoulders, though that cape is going to hinder the articulation just a little bit, and also the arms don't really raise up more than about halfway up there. But they can also move forwards and backwards very nicely. You got swivels at the bicep, as well as a standard elbow bend there. You have swivels at the wrists, as well as little hinge joints at the wrists, so the hands can actually move up and down as well. You got a nice torso twist there, waist twist. And then this is where things get a little fishy. The leg joints, the hinges here at the thighs and the knees were very, very stiff on my Batman right out of the packaging. And there have been some reported breakage issues with this guy, so this is something you want to be very careful of. They were so stuck on mine, I actually needed to heat them up just a little bit with a hair dryer, just to warm them enough to kind of loosen them up, and that allowed them to move. So you can see that they move forwards and backwards pretty nicely there. And then there's also little hinge joints. We got the little pins showing there, which I've never really been a big fan of seeing those pins showing, but the articulation does function. You just got to be very careful. So you can see it's nice and tight. It's kind of got that ratchet to it. Just be very careful because the paint does kind of make this stick. You definitely don't want to break that. And then the knees also bend, and again, those were very stiff, so you want to work those out. Just be careful with those. Then you got your standard articulation at the ankles, so they can move forwards and backwards, and we actually do have a little bit of an ankle pivot there, so you can see you can actually kind of roll the foot around there on a little ball joint, which is very, very nice. And just looking at that cape, it's made of a nice, softer kind of vinyl-like plastic material, so it's very flexible and doesn't really hinder any of the articulation. Too bad. Maybe just up here at the shoulders is really the only place you're going to have a problem. So among Batman's accessories, he actually has several interchangeable parts. One of those interchangeable pieces is actually a cape, so we can switch out the capes on the figure, which is kind of cool. So in order to do that, you actually will have to pop the head off. And let me just show you how that works. I didn't actually have any problems really with this being too stiff or anything. It actually seems pretty sturdy. And you can see when you pull it out, there's just a little peg joint here. And when you pull that out, you can then just kind of peel the cape right off the neck there. You can see there's a little ridge that actually helps hold the cape on, so you can remove that cape, and in its place, you can pop on this new cape, and then we just need to pop Batman's head back on there. Pops right in the socket very nicely, and now we have switched out Batman's cape. Now this cape here is still made of that same softer material, but as you can see, this one actually kind of drapes over his shoulders. That is going to hinder the articulation of his arms quite a bit, so this cape is more going to be used for those stoic kind of imposing stances with Batman. Now, of course, in addition to the interchangeable cape, he also has a ton of interchangeable hands, which is very, very cool, and it's very easy to swap those out as well. The hands are just held on by little pegs, and as you can see, very easy to kind of pop those out of socket there. There's little ridges on there, so it does hold pretty nicely when you pop them in there. But then you can replace that with various other hands. You can see they just pop right into socket. They actually hold pretty well. The articulation retains on those. And having all of the different hands is very nice because with the different hands that are included, you can have the option of having the fists, you've got some gripping hands, you've got some more open palmed hands, and you even have hands which are sculpted perfectly for holding onto his Batarang accessory. Now, holding onto the Batarang accessory is very nice. As you can see, it's just a very, very small little accessory here. But it's nice having those hands because a lot of times Batman action figures that come with Batarangs don't necessarily hold onto them the right way or properly. So having these specific hands for the Batarang really allow you to get some great Batarang wielding poses. So in addition to the little Batarang, he also includes the cool little Grapple Gun accessory, which is awesome because the Grapple Gun is definitely an iconic weapon from the animated series. Now, with his interchangeable hands, he does have gripping hands where you can kind of getting him to hold on to this, but to be honest, he doesn't really hold it very well. I just got done talking about how he's got a perfect hand for holding the Batarang, but none of his hands look right holding this particular little accessory here. However, he does have a separate hand, which is sculpted with the Grapple Gun molded into the hand, and he's gripping onto it perfect. Exactly how you would expect him to hold it in the cartoon series, with it kind of going between his fingers. And that interchangeable hand looks awesome on the figure for recreating some of those scenes where he's getting ready to blast that Grapple Gun off. Alright, so I already mentioned that I never really got a chance to collect the original animated series Batman line, so unfortunately I don't have a comparison to that vintage action figure, but I still want to show you this new animated series Batman action figure standing alongside some various other Batman figures so you can get a good idea of the scale of this guy. So there you go, my friends. There is a look at the new Batman Adventures Batman action figure from DC Collectibles. Now, early on in this line, there have been some issues with breakage, and I talked about that with the articulation, how it was a little scary moving his legs. However, DC Collectibles seems to be on top of it. They do say that they have fixed this problem moving forward, so hopefully this isn't something that we're going to have to worry about moving along, because this is a very exciting line. I do really like this Batman action figure, but I think I'm most excited for that wide variety of characters that we're getting in this awesome animated style. I, like many people out there, loved these cartoons. They were very iconic representations of Batman and all of the characters from his comics, and it's very cool seeing them in action figure form brought back to life from DC Collectibles. So you can pick this Batman figure as well as all of the other figures which are currently available and available for pre-order at online stores such as BigBadToyStore.com, and I'll link to it directly in this video's description in case you guys want to check them out for yourself. Happy hunting, my friends, and until next time.